Hi everybody, it's Mr. Wagstaff. Cool stuff to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking about war. War with Mexico. That's right, America fights a war with Mexico. I would bet the majority of you had no idea that that happened. But it happens in 1846, and today we're going to talk about it. All right? So, really cool stuff to talk about. So, let's go ahead and hop into it. All right. So, today we're going to talk about war with Mexico. All right. So, let me talk about some stuff to start out with. All right. This man here is James K. Polk. All right. This is a kind of a boring picture of him. So James K. Polk is notoriously, I guess we could say notoriously. This is a huge supporter of Manifest Destiny. He wants to spread America's borders as much as possible. A precursor to understand in this unit, or today's lesson, is that Mexico's already a little salty with America because America allowed Texas to join the United States as the 28th state. So when Texas was allowed to join America, there was no way Mexico, who did not have as strong of an army as America, could come take Texas back without having to fight America, and they could not defeat America militarily at the time. So Mexico's a little salty at America. They feel like America stole Texas from them. And you can understand that. America's like, Texas was their own country and asked to join us. We didn't do anything wrong. While again, simultaneously, 100% Mexico's like, you know what the deal was. That's not cool, America. So there is some salt between Mexico and America at the start of today's lesson to begin with. So keep that in mind, that there is some hostility. Santa Anna, who we had discussed in the unit or the lesson we talked about the Alamo, still in charge there in Mexico. This is when James K. Polk becomes president. Now, this is a relatively boring picture of James K. Polk, and there's nothing about this picture that's going to get you to remember, hey, this is the guy that was like super into Manifest Destiny, which is like our responsibility to take over as much land as possible and spread American culture to everybody. So while this is a boring picture, maybe this one will help. This is James K. Polk and Manifest Destiny. Polkamania. Man, I'm really going to feel old. You may not get this reference at all. This is supposed to be Hulk Hogan, professional wrestler from back in the day. It was a Hulkamania. This is Polkamania. It's hilarious to a few people, and then to the rest of you, you're like, this is just silly, Mr. Wagstaff. But James K. Polk, he wanted to take over as much stuff as possible. So let's give you a precursor over when he was elected. His campaign slogan was 54-40 or fight. All right, 54-40 or fight. That was his campaign slogan. What that meant at the time is that, so Oregon Territory, this area right here in purple, all right, this was unowned area. Or so British were here and Americans were here. But it wasn't really owned by anybody. Well, America wanted it. Manifest Destiny. James K. Polk said he wanted all of it up to this line up here, the 54-40 line. All right, the British are like, no, we own this area up here. This is called British territory. Will be eventually Canada. He is elected on the campaign slogan 54-40 or fight. Like, he is willing to fight for bear country. You know, there's like nobody that really lives here, but he's willing to fight for it. When he does come into become president, they end up compromising because why would you want this all the way up here when the rest of your borders are here? So they end up using this border here, which is the top of America. So James K. Polk literally won the presidential campaign on we're going to spread America's borders, right? With his 54-40 or fight campaign with Canada. So that's how the top of America gets created, is with the 54-40 or fight. Then he's going to turn his focus to the southern borders of the United States. So here we go here, all right? You got Texas. So we pretty much own Texas, and we're going to talk about some of the confusion here with Texas, all right? We own we don't own any of this. This is all Mexican territory, all right, this is California, New Mexico, Arizona, this is Nevada. This is all Mexican territory. Everything in blue is Mexican territory. Texas pretty much cuts in half right here, all right? So all of this is Mexican territory. However, I should point out here, nobody lives right here. Like, there's not a population of Mexicans that live here. It's owned by Mexico, but the vast majority of the Mexican population is further in southern Mexico, down here where Mexico City is. So while all this is owned by Mexico and it's very fertile land, it is not really inhabited. So James K. Polk wants this land, all right? So what he's going to do is he is going to offer to buy the land from Santa Anna, all right? So James K. Polk, he's like, hey, we don't need no beef. We'll just buy it. I mean, y'all ain't using it. So he goes to Santa Anna and offers him $30 million for this land. Now, that's a pretty fair price. I'm sure we're not like throwing diamonds at him or anything, but $30 million for this land is probably a relatively fair price. That's probably like you look it up online, like here's what it is, and it's pretty much what you would pay for it. All right. So we offer Santa Anna $30 million. Santa Anna flat says no. And we're like, all right, well, what's your counter offer? And Santa Anna's like, no, I'm not selling you anything. Now, why would Santa Anna not sell America this land that they aren't using? While, yeah, maybe he doesn't want to give up, land for his growth and all that, a big part is he don't like America. He's still angry at America. And why is he angry at America? Is because he feels like America stole Texas from him. All right, when America allowed Texas to join the United States. So he doesn't want to have anything to do with America. He's really grumpy with them. And now that America wants something, he just says, no, I'm not going to. So, when America wants something, we usually find a way to get it. And if we have to be shady about it, we're going to be. And this is one of those situations. So, if they won't sell it to us, how are we going to get it? All right. So, this is what James K. Polk is going to have to figure out. If they won't sell us the land, how are we going to get it from them? All right. So, there is a dispute, all right, over Texas. So this is when they won't sell us this land. So this area right here, 100% is our land. We claim this is our land. Mexico's like, no, I don't think that's really what we gave up. And so, but nobody lives here in West Texas, all right? I mean, not enough people to really matter, and really nobody lives here at all, all right? So this is where the population of the people in Texas are. And we want to buy Texas, we want to buy this area right here from Mexico. They won't sell it, all right? So, let me make sure so we offer him $30 million. He don't want to have anything to do with that. So, here's where it starts getting weird, and here's how we get, all right. Let me draw you right here a little bit. Let me move that over. All right. So the yellow area here in Texas is Texas territory. This is claimed territory. Like, this is an area where, like, yeah, it's going to be Texas. Nobody lives there, but eventually that'll be Texas. Mexico's like, I'm not so sure. Specifically, the bottom of Texas is disputed. So this right here, that river is called the Nueces River. All right. That is what Mexico claims is the bottom of Texas. That's important. The Texans here say, nah, the bottom of Texas is this river, which is the Rio Grande. All right. So according to Texas and the people who live in Texas, all right, this is the bottom of Texas. According to Mexico, this is the bottom of Texas. Now, nobody actually lives here, so it doesn't matter at all. All right, nobody lives there. However, let's clarify. According to Texas, who owns this land right here? According to Texas, since they say this is their dividing line, according to Texas, Texas owns this land. All right. According to Mexico, Mexico owns this land since they say that's the bottom of Texas. So this little piece of land between the Nueces River and the Rio Grande is in dispute. All right? James K. Polk knows that. He knows that this piece of land right here is disputed, and he wants this land that Santa Anna won't sell him. So, there's only a couple ways that you can get land if people won't sell it to you. All right? Actually, the only way to get it is you take it. Just mine. Give it to me. Now, that's a jerk move. America, while we'll do shady things, like to pretend that we don't do shady things. So the only way that we can just grab something from another country legally in the eyes of the rest of the world is if we are at war with that country. All right? So this is really important as we move forward in future wars. So if we were at war with Mexico, we could take over that land that Mexico isn't using. That's referred to as California and New Mexico, right? The northern part of California over there. But we would have to be at war with Mexico to get that. Now, Mexico isn't going to fight us. They know they can't fight us. They're not going to pick a battle with us. So how are we going to be able to go to war with Mexico so that we can take their stuff? Now, we don't want to start a war with them because America, we're the good guys. And that's how we always do. We don't ever start wars. All right. Now, we just defend ourselves. All right. This is our mentality. So what we do, because we look like bad guys if we just attacked them and took their lands. But if they attacked us, that would justify us to declare war. And then, hey, if we just happen to take their land in war, that'll happen. But Mexico's not going to attack us. Or are they? So here's what America does when we want something from somebody and we need to be at war with them and we don't want to be the one that starts it. We poke them with a stick. All right? So basically we go up to Mexico and we just start poking them. We do things that's going to annoy them. We're like, hey, does that bother you? Does that bother you? Does that bother you? Does that bother you? Hey, does that bother you? Poke, 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 poke. Finally, the country's gonna be like, stop it! And like, oh, you attacked us! And then we turn around and declare war on them. This is what America does. We poke them with a stick until they get good and angry, and they slap us away, and then we take that as an act of aggression to justify declaring war on them. It's super shady. We do it a lot throughout our history. All right? This is a perfect example of it. So James K. Polk 100% realizes that there is a dispute over this area of land right here. So what does James K. Polk do? He sends United States troops down here and stations them right here on this land. He's like, we're just putting it on our land. According to Mexico, what just happened? According to Mexico, since they believe they own this land, they just got invaded. So what does Mexico do? Which any country do? They're going to come up here and they're going to attack those troops to try to push them off their land. This is all James K. Polk needs to do to claim, Mexico came up here into our land, crossed our border, because they claim that is their border, and they are going to attack American troops on American land. War. And we turn around and we immediately declare war on Mexico. 1846, we declare war on Mexico. This is an official war. Congress agrees to it. We immediately turn around and we declare war. Now, once we declare war on Mexico, guess what the very first thing that we're going to do is? We run over here and take over California, New Mexico, and all this area right here. Because we didn't care about Texas. It was all this land here. So we're like, we're at war. And then we scamper over here, scamper. And we just take over all this land here from California and New Mexico. All right. We take over all this land right here. Santa Anna is furious. He realizes what America had done. He basically picked a fake war just to steal all their land from them. Santa Anna is furious because we tried to buy it for $30 million and then they wouldn't sell. So we picked a war with them so we could take it from them. Now, it is worth pointing out, so now that we have this land, we do still have to fight them because we did officially declare war on them, all right? And so America is going to have to go down here into Mexico City and fight Santa Anna down in Mexico City. All right, so here's who we put in charge, all right? This is Zachary Taylor. This is the head of the United States military, all right? So Zachary Taylor, and remember his name, he will eventually be a president here soon. Zachary Taylor gets put in charge, and he is going to invade Mexico. This is Santa Anna, who is still in charge down in Mexico City. Zachary Taylor, all right, let me put myself back up here. Zachary Taylor marches down through Mexico and just wrecks shop. Our military is vastly superior. I mean, just absolutely ridiculously superior. We march all the way down here. We get to Mexico, wipe out the Mexican army. We capture Santa Anna, all right? We hold a gun to his head, and we're going to force him to sign the treaty that's going to officially end this war. Now, this is interesting in American history. Not the fact that Santa Anna once again has a gun held to his head in order at the end of a conflict, because this happened with the battle with Texas. But so Santa Anna's like, okay, don't shoot me. And they're like, all right, you're going to sign this treaty and you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do. And he's like, okay, y'all just don't shoot me. Just tell me what you want. And they're like, all right, first thing that you're going to do, all right, is, let me go back up here, all right. Oh. All right. So first thing you're going to do is, and this is going to be called the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. All right. Very Mexican sounding name for the end of the Mexican-American War. So stay with me on this treaty because this treaty is crazy. All right. Step one, you have to now acknowledge the bottom of Texas is the Rio Grande. Let me find you a picture up here. I know I got one. Yeah. So the Rio Grande is here, not... So, yeah, this blue line that we said was the bottom of Texas, that is now officially going to be the bottom of Texas. There's not going to be any more argument about the Nueces River, whatever. So, step one, the Rio Grande is the bottom of Texas. Still is today, because all of these things still apply today. All right. Number two, you are going to give us this land, the land that we took into war. We called it at the time just California and New Mexico because these were just territories. They didn't divide up the states yet. California and New Mexico. You're going to give us those territories. And Santa Anna's like, okay, man, all right, that's fine. Rio Grande, you got your territory, California and New Mexico. Just don't shoot me. And then we're like, and one more thing. Actually, two more. Number three, I guess. Number three, we're going to give you $15 million and you're going to like it. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, that's right. We're going to give you $15 million and there's nothing you can do about it. And he's like, huh? And we give him a stack of money. And then we're also like, and I'm sure there's going to be like some lawsuits and stuff by people in Texas against you. We're going to take care of those. Don't worry about those either. So, yeah. And so he's sitting here with a bag of like $15 million. This seems crazy. We just beat him in war. And we aggressively required him to take $15 million from us. Why in the world would we do this? Well, we do it in almost every war since then. And here's why. He can't then later on claim that New Mexico and Arizona were stolen from him because we bought it from him for $15 million. Since we paid for it, we didn't steal it from him. So all of this land we bought. Didn't steal because we paid them $15 million. He didn't have an option. Keep in mind, we offered him $30 million for it. He said no. So we started a fake war. We went in and we for real defeated him, wiped out his army, captured Mexico City, and we paid him $15 million for the land that we had already taken. All right. Now, sometimes students will ask me, why didn't we just own Mexico? Same reason other countries didn't want to take over America. We'd already declared our independence. We are our own culture. We do not want to be owned by somebody else. Mexico is in the same situation. They had just declared their independence from Spain. They're not a group that would be controlled. There's no benefits to it. That was never a concept. We could have attempted it. I don't think long term that would have been successful. So America, when we defeat Mexico, we take over this land that was uninhabited at the time for the most part. And from the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and we forcefully give them $15 million. So they can't claim that we stole it from them. All right. More glorious American land. This is very interesting right here. All right. The Gadsden Purchase. So I got a map here. So we're down here in Mexico, or Zachary Taylor and James K. Polk, I guess they're both down there. Just making that up. And as they're like moseying back and they're happy with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Santa Anna's sitting here with a bag of $15 million. He's like, what? What just happened? What? Huh? What? So we're marching back. We're going up here to check out all our stuff. And we realize there's this hunk of land right here. All right. It's called Arizona. It's part of Arizona today. All right. And as we walk through it, we're like, oh, this is so awesome. So glad we own it. And they're like, actually, on the map that we drew, this is still Mexican territory. So like all this yellowish area right here, that is still Mexican territory after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. So they're like, oh, really want that land too. Hold on one second. And James K. Polk and Zachary Taylor, they run back down here to where Santa Anna is, who's still sitting here dumbfounded at this table with this big sack of money. And they're like, hey, so, interesting talk here. We also want Arizona, which is what this area is right here. We want Arizona. We'll buy it from you. And Santa Anna just looks up at him with like dead eyes. He's like, huh. And they're like, we'll give you $10 million for it. Now, Santa Anna clearly doesn't want to sell Arizona to the United States. He doesn't want to sell them more money. But he also realizes what happens. I'm a little off the screen there. What happens if he doesn't sell? We're going to take it. We're going to fight him again. And then we'll probably give him $3 million for it. So he doesn't really have a choice. So in history, so he agrees to sell it to us for $10 million. All right. So this is what's important to understand. He chose to sell us Arizona for $10 million with the Gadsden Purchase. However, had he said no, just like he had originally said no to selling us all of this stuff, it doesn't work out well for him. And America can be a real bully about it. So the Gadsden Purchase is how we are going to achieve this land here with the Gadsden Purchase is how we get Arizona for $10 million extra. So after this, we are pretty much here, the bottom and the top, thanks to James K. Polk. This is the outline of the American territories. All right. This is going to be really important. All right. Here's why this war is so important. Because do you remember the Missouri Compromise? The Missouri Compromise said that slavery, remember, cannot exist above the... let me give another color here. We'll go pink. That's an easy one to see. That slavery cannot exist above the 3630 line. All right? Well, the North was cool with that when it ended right here, when the South ended right there. So this was the only place in here that slavery could exist. So the North expected that they could expand all up here, and the South could only expand here, eventually getting rid of slavery once the North outnumbers the South. Well, now, after the Mexican-American War, all of it, because here's now the border of the United States. You have all this land right here that can be slave states. Tensions between the North and the South over slavery are going to skyrocket because all of this land here is below the 3630 line. Now slavery can expand into these new territories. The North says absolutely not. We've tolerated slavery long enough. It cannot expand. We're not going to go down here and go into South Carolina or Georgia or Alabama and get rid of slavery. That would be crazy. All right, that's like crazy talk. But we are not cool with it showing up in Arizona and California and spreading further west. Absolutely not. So, from the beginning, they're like, we refuse to allow this to happen. So, what the South ends up, or what the North does, so the South shows up at Congress the next day, all right? Knowing the North is going to be furious about this being slave territory. And the South has a document already created called the Wilmont Proviso. And the South is like, hey, North, got a document you might want to sign. And they're like, yeah, what's that? And they say, we have a document called the Wilmont Proviso, and it says slavery in this new territory down here is illegal. And it can't exist down there. Now, this catches the North off guard because the South loves slavery. Why would they choose to make a document that says slavery is outlawed in these areas, but the North is like, absolutely, and they run over to it and they grab their pen and get ready to sign it, and then all the South is like looking at them like, did you sign it yet? 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 And the North realizes there's something shady going on, and at the last minute, some guy comes out and like slaps the pen out of the other Northerner guy's hand. He's like, don't sign that! Here's what they're doing. If the South was able to trick the North into signing the Wilmot Proviso, all right, what it does is when it says that all slavery below the 3630 line in the new areas is illegal, you know what that gets rid of? The 3630 line. It violates the Missouri Compromise, meaning there is no more 3630 line. So you know where the only place is? If they said it was illegal here and here and here, you know where the only three places in the country it would actually be illegal at? Here. And it would allow it to spread everywhere else if they signed the Wilmot Proviso. All right, because it counteracted the Missouri Compromise. So the North is like, no! And they slap it out of their hands and they're like, you sneaky guys. So after the Mexican-American War and America gains all this land, there is going to be astronomical tensions over what happens with the new land and the expansion of slavery. Because this idea that slavery will naturally die on its own does not appear to be something that's actually going to happen. And because of that, tensions are going to continuously skyrocket in the United States, which will eventually culminate with the Civil War. So because we got all this extra land over here, all this land over here, from Mexico in the Mexican-American War with James K. Polk and Manifest Destiny, all the new land can be slave states. Tensions over slavery are not going away because with the ability of slavery to expand, the debate over slavery is renewed. All right, that's as far as we're going to get today. You guys go complete the rest of today's assignment.